So I brought Superman Birthright Part 1. I wanted to talk about Superman and his impact on me. So yeah, basically I've been a comic book fan like for as long as I can remember. Comic books hold a very special place in my heart because they remind me of my time back home, my homeland in Congo, because I had comics back then when I was a young child, and I remember comic books. So
it's sort of like a really nice way to link your life in Manchester, your life home.
So I've always known comic books. I've always read them. I have my local library, which is Leeds, a small town where I'm from. I never had a computer at home, and we did have a computer. We just couldn't afford the internet. Most people would go on home, get on their computers, laptops, and then go on the MSN and stuff like that. But I could do that at the library, but only for so long. And then after a while, I'd just go into the comic book section of my local library. And I would just dig my head into comic books. And then so when the more I started reading about Superman, the more I started seeing a lot of parallels in terms of like who he is in my own life in itself. And then Superman becoming more of a person who
sort of like you could see him inside of you. How so then? Because I feel like the very like traditional feelings around him as a hero are very like one-dimensional. He's sort of like this perfect alien who can sort of like shoot lasers out of his eyes and be like this, essentially a god. So how can you see yourself in him, and how was that moved by this book? Basically all of those things that you just said is exactly how I viewed him as well. That boring, superpowered, whatever. Overpowered.
How are you going to make a story about God? Like, do you know what I mean? And which in essence is actually what the whole Superman is. It's a story about a God in essence living among us. But the way it appealed to me, the main thing about Superman's story that really appeals to me is that it's an immigrant story. It's a young child who's had to leave his home because of tumultuous circumstances.
Because of like, was it like?
Krypton was obviously
a war.
Krypton was like Krypton's core was heating up, and basically they're doing what we're doing to our Earth. they ruined it, and they couldn't save it. And obviously, everyone knows the story. Superman's dad, Jor-El, was trying to tell the scientists we need to save it, and they were listening, whatever. So him and his mum decided that if, because we're going to die anyway, but let's at least, they had Clark, they gave birth to Clark, so they wanted Clark to have a life and at least further on the Krypton lineage and just
the bloodline.
Just to have someone out there who's still Kryptonian. So they put him in a spaceship to shoot him up as a child, and he lands on Earth. So that in essence is very similar to like a lot of immigrant children's story. They've had to leave their home because of these horrific circumstances, and the reason why they're here is because of hope. Because their family wants them to have a better life. They want them, if we're not going to go far in life, if our life is going to end here, let's at least give this young child or person a chance. It's from a place of ignorance for me, because I knew the story, but I never connected the dots somehow, some way. Because that's for the most part, that's always been the story about Superman, unless you want to go back to when go back into the history of Superman when he was first created. But the canon story is that, and that is the case. But I just never connected the dots. Maybe I just wasn't looking hard enough. Maybe it took a while for me to grow older and realize, wait, no, this is just an immigrant child who's come to a land and he's misunderstood and he's isolated. He's a loner.
So like the concept of him being like a outsider, very like alien, whilst also being from Earth.
Exactly. And then he's come down to this place now, and he has to make this his home, even though he's misunderstood. And if he was to reveal who he really is, people wouldn't exactly warm to him. But at the same time, people might warm to him a little too much and deify him. Do you know what I mean? There's all that type of stuff that goes into it. But to me, it's just always been an immigrant story, and that's what made me fall in love with him. And I was like, wait, hang on. Maybe Spider-Man isn't my guy. Maybe it's Superman.
So do you think it's really important for you with these types of heroes to have that sort of the link between their lives and yours? Do you think that's a really important part of the experience of enjoying the books and the films?
I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons why so many people love comic books and these superheroes, and why they are our modern day Greek gods, the Greek mythos. That's who they are. They've taken that role in our lives because a lot of people see a lot of themselves in that. You know, obviously you have, you know, let's talk about the guy with the ears, the bat. That's an orphan. It's an orphan child story, isn't it? It's an orphan story. It's you know, it's a man fighting demons
and grief.
As it were, and stuff like that. You know, Spider-Man. He's every young adult ever.
Puberty.
Yeah. And then even that, when he finishes, you know, trying to find his way in life, trying to find a good job, you know, holding down interpersonal relationships, old friends, new friends, you know, all types of stuff. So we see a lot of ourselves in these characters.
And do you think it's important for them to be perceived like that and not like sort of as a childish sort of like a pastime or a hobby?
Absolutely no way. Like I will shout to the moon and back about how amazing comic books are. Yeah. And some people will call it a graphic novel to try and make it sound a bit more adult, you know, but no, it's a comic book. Yeah. That's what it is. I'm kind of adopted technically. It's a long story, but you know, he's also adopted. And he's taken in by a loving, caring, you know, mother and father he's not their child, but they love him all the same and they care for him all the same. And that's the same sort of story that I have in my life. So that's so that parallel as well. So I have my own Ma and Pa Kent as well.
How did that make you feel when you first sort of made all these links? Like, how did that make you feel to know that sort of despite the tough times that he's come from, he's being able to become great and achieve things? Like how did that make you feel as a teenager?
It's inspirational. It made me realize he will always be the one. He will always be, you know, the standard. He'll always be the barometer. He'll always be the hero that everybody looks up to because he's Superman, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? And the thing about Superman is he does stress that you don't have to be extraordinary. You just have to be good. Yeah. And good as in good in what you do, but good in yourself as well. Yeah.
I guess that's also quite a big part of it. That it's about trying to find peace within the sort of high expectations that people set on you. Yeah. And I think at first when I thought about it, it made me think a lot about athletes. Like in the way that people look up to them. People need them to perform, they're meant to be perfect, but then also, of course, they're just humans at the end of the day who probably have an incredibly hard time.
Absolutely.
But then also I think it can be linked to just all people and the roles that people undertake. Often there's not space for the true sort of aspects of people's personalities to shine through. Like, makes me think about my dad and my mum and what they're expected to do, but at the end of the day we're all just like trying our hardest.
And that's all reflected in Birthright. He has those moments of solace where, you know, he thinks to himself, like, am I the right person? Am I the one, you know, that should be given this power? Like, you know, should I even use this power? You know, and how should I use this power? And who should I use it for as well? All those things get explored in Birthright. I mean, even the way Birthright starts, he's not even Superman at the beginning. He's just
a boy.
He's a freelance journalist in Africa.
So did that maybe impact your choice of...
No, it actually definitely did.
Oh my God, I didn't even.
That's what I mean. It's like once you start connecting the dots, you realize, holy crap, like. What the hell? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
the glasses too.
Actually, I'm blind. Like, he doesn't need them. No, like, I got into journalism because, like, reading Superman stories. There's a lot of journalism that he actually does. Like, even in Birthright, there's actual full stories that are written in there. You get to read the story that he's written, and because he writes stories about
really
Lex Luthor. He writes stories about, you know, whatever happens in the story. But the full story is there. You see him working in a newsroom and stuff like that. And when I was a kid reading it back all those years ago, I was like, I think I'd like to do that. And it was like, you know, I can't be Superman, but I can be Clark Kent.
You can be both. Do you think that this book was kind of... Do you think that this book planted the seeds of all those things and then inspired you? Or do you think that it was just the perfect sort of outlet for you to actually see what was happening like inside you the whole time with like the journalism stuff and with all the things we've talked about? Do you think they were there the whole time, or did this really open your eyes?
Yeah, that's actually... I never thought about it like that. I've always been on the side of it all inspired me to go on to do what I'm doing today. you know, I'm that guy. I am that annoying guy who will watch something and be like, did you know about? Pretending like I knew about it the whole time. But I just found out about it
just
last
found
night.
on your phone.
Yeah, but no, yeah, like I think I've always been like the arts. I've always like gravitated towards the arts.
Yeah.
Whether it be like I've got into some recently, but like film, obviously literature.
Yeah.
Art is in itself, like just like the actual arts of like painting and even like modern art and stuff like that. And so yeah, I've always gravitated towards those things, and they've always like influenced who I am and my sensibilities, and came from a place of solace.
Oh, okay.
It goes back to Superman. He has a fortress of solitude where he just goes.
Yeah. And
you know, it's his own little place. People come in every now and then, but it's a place where he goes and he really sits down with himself and literally is you know. But you know, it came from a place of I was a very isolated child growing up. Now I'm an isolated man. but I just, you know, I like spending a lot of time by myself.
Yeah.
I like sort of being in my own head a lot. I speak to myself more than I speak to anybody.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I always sort of pictured you as like, because of the job that you've got, like being so like open and wide open. But it's so interesting to actually get to speak to these people, because until this morning you were just someone who existed on like my phone.
Yeah. Now that's one thing I was scared about going into journalism, was like, will I be able to do it? You know, like it goes back here to like the same issue Superman probably has about himself. Like should we?
I think we're good to go.
Good, yeah, I mean, in terms of journalism, I was thinking, because of being such a loner, being such a guy who's likes being by himself, I'm not as bad as I used to be. I'm better now, but I used to be like a serious introvert. Yeah. So I was very scared about going to journalism, but then it goes back to that whole Superman thing again. It's like, for some reason, when I'm a journalist, I'm someone else completely. You know, I can go in front of the camera. I can speak to, like, 'cause the reason why we connected was because I did a talk at, you know, for uni, right? So I can speak to loads of students.
Yeah, like you seem so
like, and that's
so fine.
Yeah, and I've always said, like, being a journalist is like my cape. Yeah. When I so like when I'm on the sea, let's say like if you were to just catch me on a random Sunday. And you asked me to go into town and speak to someone, I wouldn't really be able to do it. Yeah. I could do it, but I wouldn't be able to, like...
You have to be in that sort of work mode.
I have to be like, hey, I'm Rami, I'm a journalist from such and such a place. And I can do that, and I can be confident, I can speak to you, and I can get as much out of you as possible. But I sort of have to have that safety blanket of, I'm here because I'm a journalist. Yeah. And it's sort of like how probably Clark feels a little bit. Yeah. And when he puts that cape on, he is Superman, and he can do extraordinary things that he didn't even think he could do. When you peel back the layers, he's probably the greatest superhero that was ever made. Like, in my honest opinion, like, humble, sorry. No, I just think it's like, what more could you want? When you think about a hero, and when people think like, what's, you know, like, an idiot's guide for a hero, it's literally Superman. Yeah. Like, and I don't know, I just love him to bits, and I love Birthright, I love his story. So yeah.
Do you think you'll be into these types of books and his stories for like your whole life?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is me for life. Like, it's flipping expensive, but like, I'll never stop buying comic books. Whenever I have like, you know, a bit of money in there, like, I'll go into town and I'll go into the Nova Quarter and I'll go to the 3 comic book stores that they have, and I'll pick and choose and stuff like that. And especially Superman, he's with me for life. Like, if I have kids, Lord willing, like, they'll be into comic books because they'll be laying around and stuff like that. Like, this is me for life. This is who I am. Like, I love it, and wouldn't change it for the world, to be honest with you, because it's like, it's helped me so much.